Hi everyone, my name is Kyla Sutton. I am a first semester graduate student at George Mason University. I had the opportunity to conduct research on behaviorist Dr. Darlene E. Krohn. All right, so let's get started. Let's see. So now, Dr. Darlene E. Krohn is a full-time professor and chairperson for the psychology department at Salem State University. So originally, she was from Vancouver in Winnipeg, Canada, and she completed her academic studies at the University of Manitoba, which is located in Canada as well. So throughout the past 20 years, Dr. Krohn-Todd collaborated with colleagues to conduct research on behavior analysis. Okay. So now, the research and findings I found on Dr. Krohn-Todd's publications was that, modern day technology is something that I found her to be very passionate about. Majority of her studies were based on modern day technology and online learning, as well as just human behavior and what can we do to change particular behaviors. I was fascinated by the following publications. So I had an opportunity to read The Socially Assistive Robots, Current Status and Prospects for Autism Interventions, Application of Bloom's Taxonomy, a randomized trial of employment-based reinforcement of cocaine abstinence and in injection drug users, assessments of thinking in adult learners, and lastly, the effect of changing grade criteria on student writing. All right, so let's get started with the publications. So now, the first publication I had an opportunity to read was The Socially Assistive Robots, Current Status and Prospects for Autism Intervention. So in this article, the socially assistive robots are considered to be pretty conducive towards ABA sessions with children who have autism. And in the read, it was stating that children with autism are more so receptive to socially robot assistance because of the fact that, of course, with robots, they have more of a repetitive mannerisms versus a regular human being having, constant changes in their behavior. So they're stating that it would be beneficial to use and implement during ABA sessions, especially providing, the ABA therapists with some type of assistance to prevent burnout from occurring. The only discrepancy that this particular strategy would have is that it may be on the expensive side because it is considered a device. So the reason why I chose it is because I felt as though it was very interesting, to implement certain technology within the field and it being, something that would be beneficial to the client or student. So, yes, next article, we are going to touch on application of Bloom's taxonomy and PSI. So Bloom's taxonomy, of course, for my educators out there, as well as behavior analysts, future behavior analysts, Bloom's taxonomy is a method that is mostly used in an educational setting to help students with learning and understanding. So this particular method helps the teacher gauge where their students are at. Now, is it conducive to use consistently? Currently, they were stating in the article that there is a bit of a challenge with being consistent when using the framework. However, I just found it fascinating how they had implemented it during the personalized systems of instruction and being able to provide more, I guess, data based on the student's performance. So, let's see. Now, the next article was on a randomized trial of employment-based reinforcement of cocaine abstinence in injection drug users. So now this one's more so not necessarily on technology, however, on human behavior. In this particular article, experimenters are trying to determine if employment would decrease the usage of drugs in adults who inject drugs or use cocaine during their methadone treatment. So in the study, participants were allowed to work up to 20 hours a day, or excuse me, 20 hours a week, and earn $10 per voucher. The discrepancy that was, or what the challenge with this particular study is staying consistent. So, and the reason why it was an issue for this study to continue to go on long term is because of funding. So currently they are trying to look within the community to see if they can find partners to possibly like hire people who were previous drug users. I think that was, when I read that, I thought that was very fascinating, because I do feel as though we do need more intervention programs out there, especially for people that are currently having troubles with opioids and other drugs. So it's just finding a connection, or being connected within the community to make sure this can be executed and it can be sustained. So now, the next article was on assessment of thinking in adult learners. And in this article, Dr. Krohn explores various methods used to assess higher order of thinking skills in college students. So throughout the years, it has also been a challenge to find concrete data or be able to compose a method where you can assess a student's level of thinking. So she just elaborates on like different methods that were utilized and how it can be beneficial. One of the methods was from behaviorist Johnson and Chase, and they composed a strategy where they broke it up into two levels. So the first level was the elementary category, and the next level was lower level, and that's how they were able to gauge, like each task and provide the student with tasks based off of their level of thinking. And as a result, their thinking did increase, like their hot skills, and they were able to continue utilizing this particular method in different universities, such as Salem State University and I believe Matopa as well, where Dr. Krohn originally got her undergraduate degree. Okay, so now Article 5, the effects of changing grading criteria on student writing, which was published by Krohn and a few of her colleagues. So researchers conducted a study at Delta State University to measure students' writing. I apologize for my dog barking. Writing and performances in their senior level psychology courses. So the purpose of this study is to help enhance students' writing and reading skills. In order to conduct the study, researchers implemented a computer-based personalized system of instruction, which is known as CAPC. So the text had stated that the breakdown of the study was that there were 15 tests, and with the first test based on the course manual and the rest based on the course textbook. So students were encouraged throughout each unit, were encouraged to work through each unit weekly. Eventually, as a result, the students' level of their critical thinking and writing skills did increase. So it ended up being conducive towards the students in their learning environment. Okay, so let's see next one. Now, my questions that I have for her were more so based on her reading, her publication, as well as my personal take within the classroom, as well as when I conduct sessions with my client. Um, so now I asked her, I said, how can a teacher merge online and traditional learning to keep students engaged and interested in learning? I also asked, when implementing an online program in the classroom, what steps should a teacher or an educational assistant, an aide, take to ensure that the student is engaged in the activity and not exploring other sites online? I also asked, when enhancing an individual's higher order of thinking, what are some strategies that an educator can use for students from 5th grade to 8th? And lastly, what challenges do you think educators have when it comes to implementing Bloom's taxonomy in their lesson plans? And I did also want to know, like, what, in order to stay consistent and use the framework, what advice does she give, would she give an educator as well? All right, so let's see. Now, how is Dr. Krohn's work impactful towards the field of applied behavior analysis? So Dr. Krohn Todd has completed a significant amount of work and publications that have been impactful towards the field of education and human behavior analysis. So Dr. Krohn's research on the use of modern day technology has become a lot more relevant in today's time, especially with us going through a pandemic and being virtual for almost 2 years. So a lot of people are more adjusted to being virtual, especially the students, versus being in person. So I became a little bit more intrigued on how I can implement online learning and how it be conducive to like my students' performance and behavior. I will be very honest. I am somebody that is more of a traditional teacher, so I like to be. I try to limit the use of computers in the classroom because the students are distracted. However, I am definitely open and flexible to trying, different methods that may be very beneficial to the students' academic performance. So, all right, thank you. And that was my presentation. I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to shoot me an email. And thank you. I apologize for the dog barking in the background. All right.